Welcome back. Now, the youth remain vulnerable in the labour market. Stats SA released its quarterly labour force survey yesterday, showing the country's official unemployment rate has risen to 32.9% in the first quarter of 2025, and that's up 1 percentage point from the previous quarter. Now, the results for the first quarter of 2025 also show that the total number of unemployed youth increased by 151,000 to 4.8 million. And while employed youth recorded a decrease of 153,000 to 5.7 million. But as a result, the youth unemployment rate increased from 44.6% in the fourth quarter of 2024 to 46.1% in the first quarter of 2025. So to talk to us about some of the factors behind the jobs hemorrhage is the former statistician-general, Doctor Pali Lehohla. Dr. Lehohla, thanks for your time as always, and welcome to Morning Live.
Thank you very much, Sakina.
Now, Dr. Lehohla, first and foremost, if we look at these employment figures, what do they tell us about the overall direction of South Africa's economy and also the trajectory for young people in the labour market?
Well, I think we have to contextualize it in the 5-year Vulindlela, which is coming with Vulindlela 2, and say what have we experienced in the last 5 years. There's been an increasing unemployment, and the question should be, what was Vulindlela going to deliver in the 5 years that has just closed? And what does it intend to deliver in the next 5 years? My apologies, I have to wipe something on eye. So you can see that we are playing gimmicks here. We hemorrhaged electricity. We closed commodities for no good reason. And we had the longest load shedding in the country. And many other things that government is trying to do are just useless. Let me be very frank that they don't have results-driven approaches or data-driven approaches that look at the youth, that look at society. And there's nobody paying attention to this hemorrhaging of jobs, that now we have as many millions of unemployed youth as we have today. All these are just gimmicks. I would like to see, what is this supposed to deliver? What is the path? What is the journey? And from which sectors will have how many jobs? We don't have such a system in government, even in the government of national unity. And you can see it in the results. So what we are told are inputs that will spend so much money. We are not talking to impacts and outcomes. To the extent that the nation doesn't discuss that, then we have a serious problem. Worse still, we are accompanied by Trump, who brings 48 Afrikaners. If you look at white unemployment, it has even dropped below 7%. This is almost full employment. And these people are claiming to be persecuted in the country. And we are supposed to follow all that, those gimmicks. And the president is going to see Trump. He has invited 47 whites. And this is what we have to concentrate on. A president of the United States plays and gambles with our lives, makes the entire nation to focus on 47 whites who have the highest level of employment. They don't suffer unemployment, they don't suffer poverty, they don't have empathy, and we have to have a national concentration of the mind on 47 white. And we have to go and meet that president of the United States. No, it can't be quiet.
And this, unfortunately,
not when we have 37% unemployment.
Now, let's speak to that, because especially as it pertains to youth unemployment, what are the structural drivers in the main here? Because as you say, a lot of gimmicks over the years, because if something was working, you would see a decrease in the unemployment rate. We're not seeing that. So what should we be doing? Where does government need to concentrate in order to rectify this?
Sakina, the government doesn't like to look at numbers. For the longest period, we have created and produced multidimensional poverty. two key issues, two key drivers, which drive 60% of poverty in South Africa. It's unemployment and lack of education. As long as we don't fix the bridge to employment, which is education, we are never going to see any better things. 10% of blacks and coloreds only have post-graduate, have post-school education, compared to 70% of Indians and 65% of whites. These are the things that drive unemployment. To the extent that we don't fix education, we don't fix mathematics, we cannot have a nation that is 90% of the population only having 10% of its population having post-matric education. That will never solve the problem. This is what we are creating year in, year out.
So that suggests...
And we are not allocating enough resources and enough focus on the question of education. To the extent that we do that, and we have done that for the longest period of time, forget about solving the problem of unemployment.
So
into that, you add the corruption, you add all these other things that an unguided missile government continues to pull wool over people's faces.
So looking at all of this, because unfortunately we don't have much time today, but I think we need to have a roundtable discussion about this. Looking at where we are, what sort of official government interventions can we put in place right now that will show hopefully measurable improvement in the situation? If you were advising government, looking at the numbers, what would you tell them to do?
You have to have future proof of every action you take. You don't go into government of national unity without future proof. There are three priorities. None of those three priorities have future proof. When you look at the policies, they are counter what they are suggesting. And because they don't have path, they don't have future proof, it's just easy talk. Talk is good. And to the extent that that continues for the longest period, you're not going to solve this problem.
All right, we have to leave it there with Dr. Pali Lehohla, former statistician-general of South Africa, helping us unpack the quarterly labor force survey. Some very, very stern inputs there, and hopefully we can take this conversation further.